Hello and welcome. If you're on this early, you're watching the replay probably, so give me a hashtag replay. And thank you for joining and taking the time. I hope everybody is enjoying their Friday. It is almost the weekend. For those of you who aren't open yet, that doesn't change too much, but hopefully you guys have some good weekend plans and will be enjoying. Hi Stephanie, how are you? Let me know as you jump on. Hi Melody. Hi Anna. So for those of you guys who are closed right now, is the weekend kind of meshing in with the weekdays? Does it like just kind of all flow together right now? That would just, I think, drive me crazy. One reason I'm glad that I've stayed open. I know my mom isn't working, so she doesn't know what day it is. So excited to hear from you. Love you. Thank you, Stephanie. I was so sick. So I have been MIA for 2 weeks now. I got so sick. I cannot remember the last time I was so sick. So I am just thrilled to not be sick anymore and be back in action. And I still haven't been at my center. I've been away for 2 weeks and they are totally operating and open, but I've been gone for 2 weeks. So Monday I plan on going back. I'm really excited. And Anna, you're opening Monday. Yay. And Anna was a brand new center before all this. That has to have been so hard. Don't have very many kids coming. In fact, we'll lose more money by opening. Anna, did you get the PPP loan? That might actually help too to get that now. Hi, Corey. Hi, Kathy. So yeah, I get that whole like not opening for so many kids and not having that much, but here's my thought on that. There are going to be a lot of centers that aren't coming back from this. There's a lot of parents that are ready to come back. So if you guys, oh, you were too new for the PPP, that really does. How about the EIDL? Will they let you do that? I think you had to be in business before February 1st for the EIDL. So anyway, I do have some other thoughts on that though for other monies that might be out there for you. But my thought on not opening up yet is a couple things, you guys. My center has not closed. We've stayed open the entire time. And it's been really hard. I'm not going to lie. It has been very, very hard. But what we are noticing is we have so many children calling, their parents are calling for enrollment because their centers are closed. And they are the parents want to get their children back now. So my suggestion to you, Anna, when you do enroll is to make sure that you put it out there. Make sure that you're very visible, that you're going on social media, that you are trying to advertise somehow that you are open, because the parents, they are looking for care. Our phone rings 3 or 4 times a day for parents looking for care. So there is opportunity right now. So just keep that in mind. Like the parents that you have right now enrolled may be a little cautious, but if you open up to the entire market, there's so many out there who need to work, who want to work, and also who just aren't used to being around their children this much. And that's one of the things that we are seeing a lot of. My director sent me the report of our numbers for coming up next week, and my center will be hitting about 74 children a day on average next week. So they are coming, and our state is not fully open. We're still in phase 1 of opening. So they're still doing a soft reopen. Hi, Heather. I don't know if I said hi yet. And Sue. Hi, Sue. I've missed you lately. So just knowing that there are children out there and there are other centers closed. And those people are all going to be looking for care. So there's people who need to get back to work. They have no choice. So I know that it might seem a little bit scary to open up this early on, but it might really help you guys. There's a lot of people looking. Corey says, yes, I think I need to advertise. Yes, advertising, even in, when you think of advertising, it doesn't have to be the paid forms of advertising all the time. Think of other ways you can advertise for free, right? Like find your local Facebook pages, make sure people know that you're open. Like, hey, we're open, we're providing care for this type of, like if it's essential workers only, anything like that. Make sure people know the extra steps you're going through to keep their children safe, and let them know, we have increased our complete sanitary procedures by whatever you guys are doing. The different steps that you're doing, just, even if you're just putting 2 Facebook posts in a couple local groups every day. And it doesn't have to be just like now enrolling, to have just say like, hey, we are still open, and we, want to make sure we serve the community in the safest way possible. So these are some of the things that we're doing. And then list some of the extra safety precautions, so that it really will help attract people into seeing that you are trying to serve your community, and also that you're trying to be more cautious and you are being safety minded, right? And you're also not coming off too salesy if, instead of just like now enrolling type of banners, if you're coming in from more of a perspective of, we just want to make sure we're serving and this is what we're doing. Those kind of messages will help you not to seem as salesy and as desperate for children, which also helps to bring the children in. So, just make sure that have your numbers, you're ready, how many children are you willing. If your state isn't giving you guys a lot of guidance on like what should your numbers look like right now, how many children is it safe to care for within your own facility, should you be doing 1 to 10? There's so many things, you guys, right now. I'll tell you, from somebody who has not closed, there is so much. And Corey, I know Corey's open. There is so much for us to think about when you're staying open. So make sure you're just not overwhelming yourselves by taking too many kids. Oh, hi, Beth. Yes, Beth, I decided to show up on, I'm finally feeling well enough to go on camera. So I finally decided to show up. But yeah, just make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself. Like I know Sue's watching, she's been open the entire time, and being open through this does put a totally different type of strain on you. It is not easy. It is not easy. I'm happy that I made the decision to stay open because for so many reasons. I mean, financially, as a business owner, the thought of closing was just overwhelming for me. And then the children that need us, really, really need us. And for those of you guys who have been watching me for a while, we do care for foster children. I care for a lot of high-risk children at my center, and like children whose parents may be losing them. So a lot of times these children are actually court-ordered to be at my center. And so what really scared me early on is the thought of these parents are already at the cusp of losing their children due to abuse and issues, right? So one of my biggest fears is if we close, now these children are home all day long with these parents who are already on the borderline of losing their child. So it just honestly, it scared me. It scared me to leave these children home alone with some of their parents. So that was one of the big deciding factors for me on staying open, was just making sure that those children that really need us, I know they're getting fed and I know they're safe when they're in my care. So that was a huge issue for me, is just knowing I'm providing that level, the service to those children, that specific demographic. The other thing too, of course, is I have some staff they were just so scared to be laid off, and they were so scared that they wouldn't get their job back. And so just giving them that security of never having to go through that was another big deal for me. And of course, as an owner, just having the income, even though I forego my personal income through my center, I did forego throughout this entire period, just because I just wanted to make sure that my center was okay. I wanted to make sure my staff was okay. but which I actually have started taking up again. We are doing fine, so things weren't as bad as I was afraid they would be. So I actually didn't have to go without an income for very long. But I did, in the beginning, my first thought was, okay, cut me out, cut what we can, just in case. And then as things stabilized and we, my financial team and we came up with a really solid, good plan, it became really clear that I wouldn't need to really cut out my own personal payments. So that was another, as a owner though, it gets scary. We've got to be able to pay the bills. So that was, of course, another deciding factor in staying open, which I'm glad I did. I mean, I'm not going to lie, there's mornings I wake up and I wonder, did I make the right decision? But if you guys have been watching me, you know my decision-making process. And one of the things I told myself early on through all of this is that there is no right or wrong decision. I just have a decision to make, and I promised myself I would not beat myself up for the decisions that I make. And I won't. And I mean, there's times I do question myself where it does feel like, it's exhausting to do curbside drop off and pick up, or I just see my staff is getting tired of changing their shirts throughout the day and just all the extra sanitation that has to happen. But overall, I think we did make the right decision. We haven't had a single case come through my center. We haven't even had any. We've had some like what we thought were close calls, but they really weren't. They were like, this person knows somebody who was exposed to, So altogether, I'm pretty confident in our decision for staying open, but it's still, no matter what we do, we have to question it. Let's see, Kristen, I've been thinking about you guys. You're doing amazing things. Thank you, Kristen. I miss you a lot all the time, especially when I'm dressing and I have my fashion designer is gone. Kristen is like the most fashionable person ever. She used to always advise me on everything. But yes, we miss you too. Alana tells me all the time about how much she misses you. So, but I don't know. So I think it's really important, you guys, that we do not question the decisions that we make. We don't question, like whether you decide to stay open or closed. You have to just honor that decision that you made for your center. You did what was best for your center at the time, right? And that leads me to something else I wanted to talk about today. So I was listening to some different things with state officials, and one state official made the comment that a lot of centers are deciding to just turn their license in and walk away. They are not coming back, and they are just letting their childcare license go. And it was a big number. I mean, the numbers she was talking throughout the state of Nevada were kind of just, it was sad, to be honest. And it is the thing I've been waiting for to hear. I've been dreading. One of the reasons I started coming on and doing these videos in the beginning of COVID, the first 3 weeks, I came on here every day. And you guys, I'm sorry, my nose is so runny. But every day for the first 3 weeks, I popped on, I did a video just trying to be encouraging, trying to be positive, and trying to help those of you not give up. That has really just been my goal, is I don't want to see people giving up. And I knew it was coming, but it was still, hearing that really just hit me hard. And I was still kind of in recovery mode. So it's taken me a couple days to really just let it sink in and process. But it is kind of what I expected, is just these centers who feel hopeless. They don't know how they're going to come back. And some of them may not, legitimately cannot make it back. And that I understand. Most of them, however, I do feel are probably throwing in the towel a little early. Some of them were probably going to close anyway. They might have been ready for retirement. There might have been a lot of different reasons, and this just pushed them to, speeding up the process. That's it. But it's something that I just weighs really heavy on me, because if you guys have been watching me for a while, you know that I've almost lost my center, and I've been there. I have had the eviction notice on my door. I know what it feels like and what an awful feeling. I mean, we work so hard for our centers. Whether you're a director or an owner, you put your heart and your soul into your center. And it almost becomes like a child to you, right? We literally raise these things from nothing, from an idea, and we turn it into this business where we're nurturing the most important part of our nation, our children. And to find out those foundational pieces of our nation are these children. They are so important. And the work we do is so incredibly important. So it really just breaks my heart to know that someone out there is losing their dream, that their dream has just died. And it doesn't need to be that way. And I've told you guys that story before where, my family, my husband, my mother, they told me that I was crazy for not giving up. They told me I should have quit, and that, they basically didn't think I could do it. And I just literally, it was just such a huge eye-opening moment for me to know came that close to losing my business, that I literally made a decision. I am not going to lose this business. And not only am I not going to lose this business, but I'm going to turn around and make it something successful and big. And that's exactly what I've done, and I am now 10 years later from that time in my life. But it doesn't have to happen, you guys. I had a 72-hour notice to evict my facility at one point. That's how close I came to losing my center. I found a way. And let me tell you, I did not have money. There was no loans to be taken. There was nothing. I fought and fought. I did not spend a waking moment of those 3 days not in some kind of fight for that center. I called a lawyer. I figured out a way to extend the injunction so that I had more than 3 days. And then throughout that time, I looked under every rock I could to find a way to keep going, which I did. And I'm still there today. So that's just where I hate to see people just give up. And that's also where I just want to tell you guys to really embrace the decisions that you make and don't question yourself. Do what you need to do. Reading through comments today on different posts, I noticed a trend of people saying things like, my staff is really scared. They don't want me to come. They don't want us to open. They don't want us to do this and that. But what I have to say for you guys, when it comes to what your staff is feeling, what anybody is telling you guys, okay? I know you probably hear it from your sister or a friend, or, you've got so many people in your head telling you, don't open right now, it's not safe, or don't do this, it's not safe. I've had people telling me, I shouldn't have stayed open. But here's the deal. Nobody knows your center like you do. Nobody knows what you need to stay afloat and to keep going like you do. And what I have to say is you have to do what you need to do to keep your business going. Does not matter how your staff feels about it. It doesn't matter what your mom thinks or anybody else, you guys. You know what your viability level is. Where is that breaking point? At what point can you not come back, right? Only you know that, you guys. And that's where you have to stay true to yourself and to your center. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you have to do the hard things that are unpopular, and you may have everybody in your life telling you that you're wrong, but you gotta just, if this is what you know in your heart you have to do, or you're not going to make it, then you have to do it. Okay, no matter what other people are telling you. And you guys, I've told you, I only had one person on my side when I went through that period of time in my life where everybody was telling me it was time to shut the doors, to be done. And had I listened to all of them, I don't know what I would be doing with my life today. So I'm glad I didn't. And by the way, since then I've owned 2 other centers. So it's not like, that one period of my life, had I listened and let these people dictate what I was doing, it would have just changed so much. I had, you guys, I did have employees too. I had employees that went to my competitor and told them they should try and buy me out. And I've had all of these different things, but I just wouldn't I wouldn't listen. And I just knew in my heart what I needed to do for my center. So yes, your staff may not want to work. Yes, you might have people who are telling you, it's just not safe to open whatever. But you guys have got to do what you need to do. I've talked about, I'm always talking about like thinking about your future self, right? Who are you going to be a year from now? I can tell you guys, I am so, so grateful to the person I was 10 years ago for not listening and not giving up. I am so grateful that I did not let everybody's doubt in me and in my center stop me from fighting. Okay. And today, 10 years later, I can look back, I can see it, I have all the facts, I know what the outcomes are. And now I can see mistakes I've made. I can see what I've done right. But bottom line is, I am so thankful that I did not stop fighting, right? Is it going to be a fight? Yeah, it's going to be a fight for some of you. I know you were already struggling before this happened. This just took it over that edge. It's going to make it harder. But you guys, think of who you are going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Who do you want to be? What legacy do you want to leave here, right? And is that legacy going to be fulfilled if you quit? If you let all of this take you down? Is it hard? Yes, it's been hard. It was really, really hard being on my own at some points, fighting for my business. There were times where I felt so, so alone in this. But I didn't give up. I didn't quit, and I wouldn't let myself. And you guys, a lot of you after this pandemic are going to be in the situation that I was in 10 years ago. I know how it feels. It's awful. So if you ever need to message me, feel free to message me, because I know that feeling of like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. You've got so much debt you're carrying and you just don't know how you're going to pay the next payroll. But if you're a person of faith, prayer, I got through it with a lot of prayer, and there was a lot of times that I just prayed and I asked God, like, God, you got to show me if this is where you want me. I need to see it plain as day. And, God showed me. I've told you guys a couple stories of times where God was very, very blatant and very it couldn't have slapped me more clearly than the way he showed me that I was where I needed to be. And that's really all it came down to, that I needed to know that I had to keep fighting. I just knew that if I was doing what God wanted me to do, if I was where God had placed me to be, that I knew I couldn't fail, right? I knew things could get hard. God doesn't tell us that like the journey is hard, but I knew that I wouldn't fail. I would make it to the other side, right? I knew that I would get there eventually. It was the journey to get there that would be hard. But bottom line, that was enough to get me through that time. It was enough knowing that I would prevail. And I knew that I had a lot of obstacles to go through to get to that point. But knowing that I'd get there really helped me to push beyond, and not to give up. And there were times that I would ask myself, like, okay, God, maybe I didn't hear you right. Are you sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Because this is going really, really bad. And God would just show me somehow. And you guys, God doesn't mind if you ask him. If you just ask, like, please show me, I need it. And there were times, you guys, that I would literally pray something like, God, I obviously am too dense to see what you need me to see, so I need you to make it painfully obvious. And it's amazing. He does. It's painfully obvious when you need it to be. And he doesn't mind if you ask. So if you're getting to that point where you just feel like you just want to give up, you don't know what you're going to do, you don't know how to move on, just pray about it. That's really, it got me through so many really hard times. And, You guys, there were literally times where I didn't know how I was going to pay my payroll. I just, knew tomorrow I owed all these people money and I had nothing in the bank to pay it with. But God always provided. There was always a way. And it just got to the point where at one point I just stopped worrying about it because I just knew that it always worked itself out, because I just knew that if I was doing what I was put here to do, if I fulfilled what God had put me here to do and I stayed true to that, everything would fall into place. And it has. It really has. Even through this pandemic, my business is doing fine. Like I told you guys in the beginning, for a while, I actually thought that I would have to take my own personal payments out, but really quickly I was able to put myself back on and take my own personal pay. I was prepared. My family was prepared. Now that I've been through everything, I'm very prepared. My center didn't actually even have to touch a dime of our savings, which, thank God, through all of this, we've made it just fine. But that took years of falling down, getting back up, and how to structure my center so that it is fine through a pandemic, right? So, it's not something that happens overnight, and it's not something that was an easy lesson to learn, which is why I'm doing this. I'm just hoping if I can help one of you guys get through this in an easier manner than what I went through, it'll all be worth it. There was a lot of mistakes I made. It didn't have to take as long as it did. I didn't have to fall as far as I did. It didn't have to get as bad as it became. I made a lot of mistakes. So if I can help other people throughout, not to make those mistakes, that is you get through this. We are going to have scars, that's impossible for us not to. But if we can make through it with the least amount of scars and the quickest recovery, that's our goal right now, right? Is just to get through this. So let's see. Diane says, thank you so much for doing and helping me taking ideas back to my director and owner of the center and preschool. Oh, that's awesome. I don't get too many teachers, but that's fantastic. You stayed, yes, open through all this. Glad we did. I'm the sole provider for my family. And yes, I agree. And that's why, I just really wanted to, for my teachers too, I just wanted to make sure that they felt good about where they were. And let's see, Anna graduated from university a year ago today. Congratulations. Yes, and started, I know you just started too, which just sucks. It does that. Let's see, where are some words of encouragement you can give a director? I was a young director too, so I totally get that. It was, I don't know. I think the main thing is just don't give up, Anna, and pray a lot. That's the main thing, is just don't give up. And just make sure that, I would say the biggest mistake I made was when I still had the money, like in the very beginning, when you're first planning out your business and all of this shiny, awesome stuff I spent way too much money when I was a brand new owner. We had taken a second out on our house and I had all this money sitting there and I spent way too much of it in the beginning. And I'm sure a lot of owners will say the same thing, that when we first started, we wanted everything beautiful and shiny and new. And we just put so much into it that when it came down to it, there was no operating expenses left. And one of the main things that will put a business out of business is not having working capital. You want to make sure that you reserve so much cash so that you have working capital. My second center, ironically, I furnished through I literally just drove around finding centers that were closing down, and I would drive as far as 2 to 3 hours, buy their furniture and furnish it that way. Didn't do it like I did the first time where everything had to be new and everything had to be, I learned my lesson after my first center that the cash is much more important to hold on to. Preserve your cash. That would be my biggest suggestion to a new owner director, is preserve your cash. Do not spend that cash. Buy it, make furniture, buy it used, look for it, look for those deals, especially now, you guys, there's going to be so many centers shutting down. Buy their used furniture. And preschool, good preschool furniture lasts forever, right? We were doing an audit a couple weeks ago of our furniture, and we were looking at some of the furniture I bought from Discount School Supplies 12 years ago. It still is in perfect condition. But then I bought some other fancy furniture. I'm not going to say who I bought it from, but it was more of the fancy, and that stuff's already falling apart. So, you guys find some of this used stuff, like the stuff with the metal, and you guys all know what I'm talking about, the metal, the tables with the metal legs. Those things never break. They last forever. They aren't as pretty as some of the other ones, and my center has some very pretty tables that when I bought it, it came with. I would not have purchased them, but they are all bowing and breaking. But those metal leg tables with those metal legs, I have some of those for 15 years that are still just holding up just fine. So finding things like that instead of, just really doing what you can when it comes to like building and whatnot, and holding on to your cash in the very beginning is, especially through something like this, through the pandemic, I would definitely hold on to your cash, because even though we open now, I do think that we have to prepare ourselves for fall in case this happens again in the fall. So let's hope it doesn't. Let's prepare for the worst, but hope for the best, right? Let's see. Kathy says, God and I had the same talk 3 years ago. Isn't it amazing? Yeah. I don't know why I don't, ironically, God and I had this talk when I started doing these videos. God kept telling me that I needed to tell my story. And it was back in January, actually, January, February-ish. And, you'd think I'd learned my lesson by now, but God kept telling me, I need to tell my story. And it got to the point, like, I would open up my devotional in the morning and it would be like, this is why you need to tell your story. I'd listen to a sermon and the name of the sermon would be, why haven't you told your story? Everything around me, every time I did something, it was, tell your story. So I finally was like, God, I don't want to tell my story. Why do you want me to tell my story? And so finally one day I just like, okay, God, I'm going to do it. You want me to tell my story? I'll tell my story. And ironically, about 2 weeks later is when all of this hit. Say hello to my pug, everybody. My little pug. She's wants her mom. So that is when, like, I just like, why do I not just listen? Now I totally understood once the pandemic hit. This is why you wanted me to tell my story, God, because there's going to be a lot of people who need it right now. And it just kind of all made sense. It just made sense, like all the years that I've gone through this and all of this that I've gone through. Now I'm in a position where I can help others avoid a lot of the pain and misery that my family has been through. So, God knows what he's doing. I don't know why when I have these conversations, I don't listen. She's just being a wiggle worm now. Sorry, guys. But this is my baby. This is Daisy. She's my favorite pet. I'm an animal fanatic, but this is my baby, my favorite. So she gets her way all the time. My son gets a little jealous, but that is what I have for you guys today. I won't take up any more of your time with my Daisy. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Adela, you have a pug too? Yay! I had two pugs, but I lost my male last year. So I'm down to just the one pug right now. I have a pug and a poodle. That's a large standard poodle. So giant poodle and my little pug. But they are the best, aren't they? Adela knows they are awesome. So that is what I have for you guys today. I just really hope that I can bring you guys hope. Again, if you guys need to message somebody, if you're getting to that point where you're just scared, feel free to message me, you guys. I've been there. I know that feeling of not knowing if you're going to be able to make it. So, I'm more than happy to chat and help out. I hear from a lot of you guys here and there. So I'm more than happy to. And if you listen to my podcast, you guys, I am so sorry. I'm a week behind on it right now since I got sick. All my podcasting equipment's at my center, so I haven't been able to record an episode. And all my pre-recorded episodes, really, ever since COVID happened, I have like 8 weeks worth of episodes recorded that just really don't seem to matter anymore. So we'll see. Let's see. So Adele, I lost my life 3 years ago. Yeah, it's just losing a pug. It's not like anything else you'll ever lose. I've lost other dogs before, but losing my pug was amazing for me. That was a tough one for me. But oh, you're welcome, Danielle. I really just hope, and Carol, you're welcome. I just hope that I can help you guys somehow, some way. Just know that there's somebody who has been through this before. It may not have been a pandemic, but I have been there where I've almost lost my center before, and I've made it out. Not only have I made it, I'm here on the other side, but I now have a very successful center. I'm now to the point where the state asks me to help other owners, and I'm asked all over the place to help owners bring centers back from bankruptcy. So I know, where I've been from one extreme to the other, and it doesn't stay that way. That's what I want you guys to focus on, is it is temporary. This too shall pass. And and honestly, if you really think about where you were 5 years ago, 5 years goes by so fast, you guys. This is going to be a memory soon. It will be a memory that we will never forget, but it is going to be a memory. And the main thing I want you guys to think about and remember is, how do you want to emerge from this? When you're thinking about this 5 years from now, what do you want to be thankful for to yourself? Do you want to be angry with yourself for giving up and letting your dream go? Or do you want to be thankful that you fought and you didn't give up? That's what I really want you to take away from this, is just you get to choose who you're going to be right now. And you get to choose, are you going to be victorious, or are you going to let this ruin you, right? And I do understand, you guys, some of you may be too far gone, but even if you are, it doesn't mean you can't start again, right? We started from scratch once, you can do it again. And if you're done, like you just want to retire and be done, that's fine too. Just give yourself grace. Do not beat yourself up. That's the one thing, just move on with the next section of your life. This may not be what God intended for you. So just be ready to move on and to go on with the next chapter if that is what is right. But you guys, listen to your gut. I am huge on listening to your instincts. And I really do think that when we really listen and we just let it guide us, it guides us in the right direction. So just really listen. And I think we can all emerge from this victorious. So I hope everybody has a great weekend, and take care of yourself. And Stephanie, I'm glad you needed this. I hope I can help somebody. Even if I can just help one of you guys stay in business, I will be happy through all of this. So have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I will be live again next week. I'll start going back to normal again, going like 2 to 3 days a week. And then the week after that, I am doing a series. I have revamped my Recession Proofing Your Childcare Center series. So I'm going to be starting that on May 25th. I'm going to be doing the entire Recession Proofing Your Childcare business, and I'm going to show you the building blocks that I have in place in my center now that help me. Like I was saying, like we haven't even had to dive into my savings through this. So we are going to go into how it is, like what I've done in order to get my business to that point. So you guys stay well also, and have a great weekend. Bye.